Hey YouTube, this is Prometheus, guys, giving you more than meta. So this is going to be part 4 of maybe a 5-part series. It's Defensive 101, covered shells, cover 4 zone breakdown. I actually recorded this earlier, but didn't have audio, and it actually turned out to be a good thing because they repatched the game and they fixed a lot of the aspects of cover 4 match, quarters and palms in particular. As you clean up certain holes in the defense, you make the defense work a little bit more like it's supposed to work in real life. There also creates holes on the back end, so you're going to see some passing concepts and different strategies that actually expose some of these defenses that are pretty difficult to basically use against, use online, stuff like that. I'm a big cover 4 person. In particular, I do like using palms and quarters coverage, but I'll just say that basically cover 4 drop is a really good defense to use in the very beginning of the game. It's a good defense to use to kind of get a feel for what your opponent likes to do, and also what with the cover 4, whether it's cover 4 drop, palms, or basically quarters, all these inside defenders play run fits. So these guys actually go ahead and attack the ball, and that's what's cool about this defense, is that you're going to have people that are actually going to go ahead and attack the ball. So any kind of inside zones, middle, any kind of runs are really good for you. The defenders on the outside actually float up and don't play run fits, but there's ways that you can actually go ahead and make adjustments on the defense to make them attack the run a little bit better if you feel like it's a high probability, extremely high probability that someone's going to run the ball. But cover 4 drop is a really good defense to go ahead and use once again. In fourth and long situations, or situations where they do that. One thing I want to point out is that you've got these deep quarters, so you've got 4 people playing deep, and the responsibility is to get back. And these guys will play, curl flats and get to the outside. You're going to have curl hook zones right here. They're going to get to the outside. So it's a really good defense. Now, one run that's susceptible to cover 4, or actually cover 4 susceptible to this run, it would be a draw play. And you can see how these guys all kind of drop back against a draw. So that's one of the reasons in my offensive schemes I always usually try to have access to a draw play, because it's a good run to go and use if you guys use a lot of, if your opponent uses a lot of type of stuff like run plays. Now I want you to take a look inside zone. You can see that the defensive backs, the safeties, actually attack the ball a little bit more. So that's important to understand it. You can see how this guy falls back, but look at the safety coming in. He's coming in and attacking the run. So this is a really good defense to go ahead and use in those first down situations where you don't really have an idea what your opponent's going to do. You don't want to give up any kind of big plays. So you're going to have run fits. People are going to come down and play the run for you. So those inside zones, RPOs, all that kind of stuff, those things are going to get attacked by that. Now, the protection of this coverage, once again, is to protect against any kind of deep streaks. So you're always going to have a defensive back that's going to fall back against streaks. So vertical plays, basically streak plays, those are going to get covered up. So if you have an opponent that just does lob streaks against you, cover 4 drop is a really good coverage. Now, where this defense is not really that great is going to be pretty much anything underneath, unless your opponent actually does hard flats. And then also the next level, which would be like in between the defensive backs, and then basically over the linebackers and stuff like that. Another area that actually is weak, it would be outside deep, because if there's no support out there, then basically you can attack your opponent. So a lot of times, if you're not sure what your opponent's going to do, you can use a simple mesh concept and just go ahead and throw it to whoever's underneath, and you can basically pick up some pretty good yards like that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the play art. So here's a concept I like to use against people that like to use a lot of cover 4, cover 6 against me, is I'm going to go ahead and use a drag and a deep comeback route. And then really what I'm looking for is I'm going to watch this defender. This is my conflict defender. If he comes out to this guy right here, I'll drop it down underneath. If he actually goes ahead and floats up with this guy, I'll hit this area right here. This is where I'm going to go with it. So really simple concept. The deep comeback routes, you're going to get 15 yards, sometimes 20 yards if you can actually flip it up. So I love having that. Another quick outs is actually is a really good way to attack your opponent on the outside. So if there's no support, you can actually go ahead and hit your opponent that way. So if I see a guy sliding out, I'll go ahead and make my next progression. And you can see I'm actually going ahead and streaking these guys up. And I've got a post route that you'll get underneath those streak routes. And I'll be looking for the area right here with going to the next level. Now this takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit of a riskier throw, especially if you don't have a really good route by your wide receiver. But it's a way that you can attack your opponent if they play cover 4. Here's a good concept right here. We're going to streak up this guy right here. I want to go ahead and pull this defender up, and this little hitch route generally will go and freeze this guy. And I've got this little crossing route that I can hit over here in between the zone of the coverage. Another option too is I can streak this guy up, and this basically kind of clear everything out, and then I should be able to hit the guy right here on this little crossing route. So let's go ahead and see if we set it up like that, where it's 2 streaks, a little crossing route. Problem with the crossing route, it takes forever to get to it. You know, it takes a long time, so a guy can user that away. So you have to kind of build off of it as a concept. Here's another example of like a crossing route. It gets between the zones, so you can hit your opponent deep. You just need to stretch those defenders. Now, one thing I like to do with cover 4 drop, cover 3, cover 2, in like 3rd and long situations, 4th and long situations, is play the sticks. And what that does is it's going to go ahead and get guys up where they're actually going to go ahead and play to the first down markers. And this is really good if you're in those 3rd and long situations. If you get like a coverage sack or a sack, you can really get yourself a cheap possession. You can steal a possession just by using the sticks as one of your adjustments. So if you're not familiar with sticks, you need to add it to your schemes, because you can actually get a lot of interceptions, and it just makes it harder for your opponent to actually go ahead and press the ball for easy plays. Now, let's take a look at cover 4 quarters. I probably can't do the due diligence of how this works, but basically, way cover 4 works is that you got if you got a 2 wide receiver side, a 3 wide receiver side, you're going to essentially have concepts which they refer to as a box on the 3 wide receiver side, and then you have a kind of a triangle type situation on the 2 wide receiver side. Now, the responsibilities of these guys right here that go out, they basically play 1 to 2, and this guy plays basically 2 to 1 as far as a responsibility. And this guy, he's going to lock up on the 2 wide receiver only on the out. So his responsibility is on the out. So if this wide receiver goes drags across the middle of the field, he's just going to kind of sit here, float, and look for work, anybody coming across the middle. Now, what's great about this particular defense is that it does mess a lot of people up. There's matching principles. So if you do have like kind of Ohio concept, these guys are going to get taken up. This guy should probably carry with this, and you're gonna take away that basically deep the quick out route. On the other side, you've got a 3 ruck hook, and he's essentially going to go ahead and look for any kind of defender that's coming, or any kind of wide receiver that's coming over the middle. But you still have the same concept. You've got these guys taking away those type of routes. This is a good defense to use because once again you have run fits, but you also have matching principles where these guys will actually go ahead and carry. And what happens is that they turn into man-to-man when the wide receiver gets past 10 yards, and basically after 10 yards, this guy, if he goes across the field, he's going to follow him and try to stay over the top of him. But it's a good way to go ahead and just kind of mess your opponent up with as far as their reads are concerned. Quarters is just is a good defense if you're dealing with people that really don't know how to play it. So that's what I do like about it. Now, once again, you still have the run fit responsibilities, and basically the way this play works is it just kind of messes people up. So you're gonna watch. Okay, so you can see how this concept right here. We got a slant. This guy he's not going to take the slant because it's under 10 yards. He's just going to kind of sit here and look for work. So the slant should be wide open over the field, because no one's going to basically cover that guy unless it's the 3 ruck hook. So you can see right here, this guy actually crosses, and you can get yourself a completion. So simple like slant and out concept can work very well for you. So you can see this guy kind of drags. He comes up. He's supporting this type of stuff. I've got 4 wide receivers off to the right. And what's new about the patch is that this guy used to kind of carry and then stop in the middle of the field and just let this guy go loose. Now he goes to the sideline. So what they did is that with the defenses, they literally tightened the guy up. he carries and comes across the field, and there could be situations where you're playing online. You can get animations underneath where basically the guy might undercut the ball and actually get you interception. So if you do switch stick or you click on, you might be able to pick off a ball with a little dragging route like that. So you could see conceptually how this guy lets him go. He lets this guy, it's not his responsibility. His responsibility is to kind of take the out, go vertical with some people for the stuff like that, but he's actually trying to protect the sideline with his quarter responsibility to see how that guy switches down and actually comes after that. The other route with the running back gets picked up right here with the flat defender, and then you've got this guy, this post, and you got help over here. So the defense is just a little bit more sound. Most players, if they don't know how to beat quarters or palms, they'll have a hard time with it. So let's go ahead and streak this guy up. You can see the matching principles. You can see this guy actually comes down. I've got these guys coming down and actually matching and carrying. I've got a spot defender right here. This guy actually comes up and follows, so he's actually taking the corner. You can see this guy comes down and takes the flat. So, you know, a simple sail concept, which is like one of the OP concepts, is going to get locked up by quarter. So that's what's good about this Yiggity defense. You can do that. Here's another one where I'm going to basically take this guy, instead of doing a corner route, I'm going to get him flat, see if I can get leverage against him. Might be a little bit smarter against quarters, but look at the matching. This guy's matched right up right here. It really locks up these sail concepts and just makes it harder to throw those passes and stuff like that. Verticals, essentially, this is, you know, most players are not going to use verticals against quarters. Everything's locked up. Defenders are going to be over the top or going to play that. What's the weaknesses of this defense? Well, technically a mills concept should be. I'm having some difficulties right now in the lab getting mills to get over the top, but you should be able to go ahead and hit your opponent over the top, because if you have a deep enough in route, this guy should come down and play in, meaning that this safety should support it. But if he's got to track and carry this guy, that should be open over the top. I like high percentage passes on high probability, so just the deep outs will actually go ahead and get this guy. This guy actually has to play the deep quarter, so he will give up underneath routes. So I'll typically go ahead and throw that corner deep out is my staple. I like to have a quick audible in my game where I can hit that. Also, what happens is, because this guy's going vertical, he's pulling this guy out, this guy's pulling vertical over this out, and this defender that's supposed to be chasing the tight end is out of position. You can throw that tight end route and get yourself an easy completion. So you can attack your opponent horizontally opposed to vertically with quarters, just because the process works a little bit different here. So let's see if we can get Collins. I think I'm going to take a shot at Collins. Just couldn't get it out there. So you can see how the guy actually plays over the top of it and makes a play against the ball. So sometimes those post routes, you know, just not always there. You know, if that was just a lob streak, it definitely would work. So right here, we've got a little crossing route. We can actually go ahead and get leverage against defenders. So what you want to do is you want to try to get leverage against the inside safeties and just get them off their feet. Right here, I've got a little curl route. Once again, it puts that guy on an island. He has to play over the top, so that's one of those things that you want to take a look at. And I think this is just another crossing concept. With a crossing concept, I basically could hit this area because those other guys are curled out. But you can see he's got man managing principles. He has to stick, and that's going to give me basically this corner out for an easy completion. So, you know, you want to use kind of crossing routes to make sure you clear out or get the guys deep enough where they're going to pull the defender down. So deep comeback routes actually work very well. Deep comeback routes are actually really, really good against your opponent if he's playing quarters too. This is just a staple of my offense, and one of the reasons I just like it is because it's a very it's a very predictable type of a coverage. So I can hit that deep comeback route, but also with this concept, which essentially is like a scissors or a China concept, and I've got a little flat in the backside. This kind of mixes up the zones a little bit. And actually gives me an opportunity to pop my opponent with the easy completion. So quarters has got holes in it. It's not necessarily, you know, the best, you know, defense out there, but a lot of people just don't read it correctly. So it's a good defense to go ahead and throw into your scheme. Right here we go ahead and do the streak, and you can kind of build off of these type of coverages if you know how to manipulate the safeties over the top so they don't support any of those deep posts. So This is a really good play to go ahead and throw into your scheme against play against quarters and palms coverages, because it essentially just messes up the coverage assignments. Now palms is a little bit different of a coverage, and basically what palms is, it really focuses, it basically mans up these outside receivers. They play man-to-man coverage, and man-to-man coverage right here. But with the 3 wide receiver side, basically what's going on right now is that you're going to have kind of an inside bubble that plays these defenders. So these guys play 2 to 3 as far as the coverage is concerned, the inside safety. This guy's going to go ahead and play 2 outs, and then you've got the 3-rec hook that should carry over to the out. Now, I'm not going to play palms in these type of situations where I'm going against like a 2x2 set. So I've got 2 wide receivers on one side, 2 wide receivers on one side. I've got the middle running back. I'm going to use palms, palms more for 3 wide receiver sets. So we're going to come back to that again. But you still have similar matching principles. You can really out leverage the inside safeties. With the weakness of this defense and the strength of this defense is that if you got post routes coming in the middle of the field, these safeties are going to poach a lot of those plays. Where the weakness of this defense is if you got out routes, those are going to be, it's going to get these safeties out leveraged, and that's where you want to go and attack your opponent, especially if you smoke route this guy and actually get this guy down, not to play coverage and stuff like that. So it's one of those things that you can do to really catch your opponent off guard. So let's see if we can get the out with the safety. You got the little crossing route. It tightens things up a little bit more with the palms, and I know a lot of people like to throw posts over the middle of the field. It's just not necessarily the best thing to do. Arches concept, really, really good. I love this. Tight end was wide open. That should have been a place I should have went with it. Just made a slow progression, but the tight end was wide open on the arches concept right there. So jumping into it, here's one thing I do want to point out. I don't run a lot of Ohio in my passing concepts, but this particular play, if you got guys that are running quick outs with a clear out with your Ohio, you can jump into palms, and this guy is going to bait that quick out. He's going to act like he's coming, and then he's going to come down and bite down. So if you got a guy is throwing a bunch of flats against you, he's playing a stick concept where essentially he's doing something like this. That will basically cheat on the stick concept and actually go ahead and catch your opponent off guard. You can see right here, this guy picks it off on Ohio. He gets himself an interception. So that's one of the things about palms. Coincidentally, if you got a guy that run palms and he runs like a smash concept like this, or a smash concept where this guy's sticking and this guy's going up, it's going to get this guy out leveraged, and you can, a lot of times you can pop an opponent for some big yards that way. So when I play palms, my preference is actually go ahead and put this guy to a deep third more than anything else, and then wherever the 3 wide receiver side is, I'm going to go ahead and put a flat out here to protect against any kind of like underneath stuff. And I like to have a deep third because I want to go ahead and protect against any kind of a smash concept, because that will give up touchdowns with this coverage. So that's the only downside of playing palms. But you can see everything's pretty much locked up. That deep comeback route was available, but it makes it a little bit more difficult to do things with palms. And if you like to throw in the middle of the field, this is where it does. All right, so we got a 3-by-1 type situation, and this is where palms really shines, is these 3-by-1s, because what happens is if these guys go vertical, you're going to have matching principles across the board that they're going to get over the top of it. So when I see these type of trip sets, I like to go ahead and try to prevent any kind of like underneath route where you see like the tight end will actually go underneath those 3 vertical routes. So what I like to do is I like to take my outside defensive lineman and actually put him in a flat to try to protect against any kind of a quick drag. I don't want my opponent to be able to go and hit me with a quick drag. So you can see there is some matching principles right here with that safety. He comes down, but if I actually go ahead and layered another defender over here to the outside, that really would make a huge difference. But look at this guys. These guys are locked up. They're matched up, and they're just out there to go ahead and take away this route concept. You can see there's like really nowhere to go with it, and you're going to be throwing right there. So you can see how this guy's matched. The inside wide receiver, which is that quarter flat, he plays a quarter and actually plays deep. The inside safety carries with that. He's actually trying to protect it. He can undercut because he's got positioning, and he can see the quarterback. And then this little drag route you can see actually comes down with a safety. So the safety does get out of position. That's why I like to go ahead and put myself a flat defender out there that fall into that zone. So here's a similar situation with the running back. The running back was naked open because he's just out leveraged that one guy, but obviously the quarterback didn't take care of it. And here's a real popular play online. A lot of people use it. You can see how the defenders are all like playing position there. You could throw some of these passes, but they're just a little bit tighter. It's not like anybody's wide open with this type of coverage. So that's what I like about using palms in my scheme. It's a really good defense that a lot of people struggle with. They don't have a hard time reading it. And then if you build in deep thirds and flats and zone drop some of your defensive linemen, it really messes up their reads. When I run my coverages, I try not to do that. There are some weaknesses to quarters and basically palms, is that you're going to get sometimes these 3 wide receivers on a sail concept. Sometimes they'll be wide open. And here's another scenario of a defense or a offensive play that is designed to basically beat basically palms. I'm going to show you this in action. Watch happens right here. We got a switch concept. It gets this guy completely out of position. He has to play that number 2 wide receiver deep. And look what happens with this. This guy actually gets wide open in the middle of the field. And actually, you can get a touchdown. So this is one of the things that you want to get in the lab. You want to take a look at it. So we've got a switch concept like so. And it's a flat switch concept. And this guy doesn't carry because this guy's going out technically. And he gets depth enough where it's a number 1. He's got to carry the inside. He doesn't fall back. So that's one of the reasons why I like to do cover 3 adjustments with palms, is I don't want to give up a big play with this particular passing concept. I'd rather do something, have a defender where the guy can actually hit me over the middle with a deep dig route, but I don't want to give a big play like that. So once again, guys, if you do like these tips, go ahead and smash the subscribe button. I'll be rolling out more offensive and defensive tips to take your guys to the next level. So thank you for your support. Until next time.